Paralysis by analysis. That's where I was at. 6-7 weeks into my research, and I still hadn't started. How did I finally get started? Stay tuned. Well, if you're anything like me, when you're interested in finding out more about a particular subject, you'll start to research. Go on Google, type anything in, and you'll see millions and millions of pages, literally, even on some really super obscure topics. Same thing is true with YouTube, video after video after video. You can really go down a rabbit hole when you're doing some investigating and you're trying to learn. The problem is you don't take action. And that's where I was 6-7 weeks in. I was doing all this research. I was trying to figure out things about food and exercise and why I ate and hypertension and high cholesterol, but I wasn't taking any action. It was time to take action. So how did I do it? I forced myself, and it was really difficult, but I forced myself to just say, enough. Just like when I made up my mind to change my wellness, same thing happened here. I had to say, okay, enough. We're going to take the data that we have now, and we're going to go forward with it. By this point, I had learned a lot about food and nutrition. I had learned a lot about hypertension and hypercholesterol, which I suffered with both of those things. So I was armed with good data there. I hadn't learned enough about exercise, and so I had to outsource that. I actually hired an online trainer, and I'm going to do a video in the future about hiring that online trainer and what he was able to do for me. I'm not going to cover that in this video, but it's coming up in the future, I promise. So what I was had my arms wrapped around, I thought in a pretty good way, was food and nutrition. Now I had to get started. So there's actually several really big questions that when you get to this point come up in your mind. One of which is, how much do I eat? And the second one, of course, is, what do I eat? Okay, so how much do you eat? Well, that's going to be rated in calories, right? So we need to know how many calories we consume to maintain our current weight. If we add calories to that, we're going to gain weight. And if we reduce calories from that, we're going to lose weight. So the important thing was, okay, how many calories do I need to maintain the weight I'm at right now? Well, the good news is there's lots and lots and lots of calculators out there to help you figure this out. And some of them are good and some of them aren't as good. I'm going to link below several of the calculators that you can try out for yourself and see which ones work for you. But you need to find out what it is. What's that number? How many calories do you need to consume to maintain your current weight? And then the only thing we're going to do is we're going to reduce that by anywhere from 200 to 500 calories. We're not going to reduce it by 1,000. We're not going to reduce it by 1,500. Just 200, 300, 400, 500 calories on a daily basis so that we can slowly and gradually lose some weight. I knew I wasn't looking to lose 5 and 10 pounds in a 2-week period. Why? Because it wasn't sustainable. It might make you feel good. It might make you, happy, and you can tell all your friends, oh, I lost 10 pounds in 2 weeks. Okay, that's great. You're going to gain it all back. That's the way it works. I was looking to lose a half a pound, maybe 3/4 to 1 pound per week, slowly but surely. Slowly but surely. The other thing is, I wanted to just gradually reduce my calories so that I wasn't making such big changes that I felt deprived, right? We don't want to go through life saying, I can't eat this, I can't have that, I have to stop this, I have to stop that. Yes, there were things that I was no longer going to eat. Yes, there were things that I needed to stop doing. All of that's true. But the mindset of I can't, I couldn't let that in. I could not let that in. It's way too negative. I needed to stay positive. So I started to look at, okay, what do I get to consume in order to try and maintain this healthy life? What do I get to eat to try and maintain this healthy life? So I figured that out. I figured out what my caloric intake would be to maintain my current weight. Figured out how many calories down I was going to go in order to lose a little bit of weight. And I plugged that into one of these calculators that I'm going to link below, and was able to come up with a number of calories per day to consume. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about those calculators that I link below. They're going to ask you very simple questions. They're going to ask you your age, your gender, your height, your current weight. The question that trips lots of folks up is they ask for your activity level. Most of us, unfortunately, think we're more active than we really are, okay? Most of us, unless you're, a farmer or a heavy construction worker, the chances are good you live a sedentary life. Even if you say, well, I walk my dog twice a day and I walk the stairs at my office or whatever the case may be, you leave a sedentary life. So that's the one you want to pick when you're going through those calculators. It's very active or sedentary. There are some of the choices. You'll see them when you go to those calculators. You definitely want to pick the sedentary because that's really more realistic. So now what do we have? We have a number of calories per day that we can consume that will help us lose that kind of anywhere from that 1/4 pound to 1 pound per week. Remember, I'm just going to cut that daily caloric intake down by 200 or 300 calories, maybe 400 calories a day. It's not going to be drastic, just a little by little by little by little. So then what I had to do was I had to figure out, take this pile of calories that I'm going to have to eat today and make the best choices with those calories. So we kind of had to look at this number intelligently, right? We needed to figure out how many of these calories that we're going to eat and what kind of foods we're going to eat to make up this pile of calories. We all know we could go out to a fast food joint and fill a tray up off of the value meal menu or whatever it's called, and probably consume all of those calories that we get for one day in one fatty meal and be hungry in 2 or 3 hours. So we knew that wasn't going to work. So we had to find out good quality foods, high nutrition value, that I could keep in my bucket of calories that I could eat. Here's the fascinating thing. When I figured out that by eating real food, that is to say, not processed foods, nothing that comes in a package, the more kind of single ingredient foods that I could find, fruits, vegetables, lean meats, good quality starches, when I found those things, I figured out that I could eat a lot of food for a limited amount of calories. It was actually really an interesting little experiment when I started plugging these food items into these calculators and figured out, how many green beans or how much salad or how much lean chicken or how much lean beef or how many yams or brown rice that I could eat. It was like, wow, cup of yogurt, wow, I could eat a lot of food and I was not hungry. I was not starving. I was not depriving myself of anything. It was really fascinating and frankly a real super relief to me because I like to feel full. I like to feel comfortable. I don't like to be hungry. I don't like to be tapping my fingers waiting for the next meal. Remember, what I had to do was find something that I'm going to be able to do for the next 30 or 40 years and find food that I could eat that I could find anywhere I traveled, right? So if I go from here to California or from here to Texas, I need to be able to find this food, figure out how to eat it. I also needed to be able to do what? I needed to be able to look at food and decide kind of how much was there. I'm going to talk about that in future videos too. I'm going to talk about how to survive going to a party, right? I'm going to talk about how to look at a plate of food and kind of size it up and decide how much fat, how much carbohydrate, and how much protein is there so that we can calculate those calories. I'm going to talk about all that in the future in other videos, but for now, I was basically just looking at calories. Fats, carbohydrates, proteins. How to calculate them, why they're important. That's coming up. So here you go, folks. I started to figure this out. How many calories I'm going to eat in a day was a big step. How to get those calories was the next step. Figuring out macros and fats and carbohydrates and proteins comes down the line. And that's going to come up in a video shortly. So at least I figured out a baseline from where I was going to start. A maximum number of calories that I was going to consume, how I was going to track it, figured out from one of those tracking apps that I have listed here below. And I was on my way. So much more to learn, so much more for me to tell you. Well, anyway, if you go down in the description below, I'm going to have links to many of those calculators that I talked about. I'm also going to tell you which one is my favorite. That'll be down there in the description. Go ahead and download them. Many of them are apps. Download them, play with them a little bit. Remember the high likelihood that you live a sedentary lifestyle. At least I know I did with an office job. So it's very, very important that we put accurate information in there. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and share. If you have any questions or any comments or topics that you'd like me to cover in the future, put that down there in the comments. I'll be sure and respond back to each and every one of you. Hopefully get to all of your questions in the future. Please smash that that button down there, the bell. Yep, please smash that one. Actually, it's on this side, isn't it? Smash that bell. That's for notifications, so that if you are a subscriber, you'll get notified when I put up a new video. Hopefully, you're interested in the ones that are coming up. And I really appreciate you watching this one. Stay tuned. There's much more to come, I promise you.